Yes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me again. Coming back to you with my little shaky cell phone video of my new HDS 9 Live. Just thought you might want to know how it looks when it's on. And of course, it's simulating right now, but that's okay. You'll get the gist of it. So that's what it looks like in a split screen, of course. This is traditional overlay 2D sonar. You side scan in a smaller window and of course down scan. The ability to do this is awesome because as you can see, if you look closer, you can make the relation between the side and down imaging and then the 2D sonar with the surrounding structure. It's quite unique because it'll give you the advantage of, if you're a newbie to it, when you do it in this manner, definitely you will learn on a much quicker curve. And of course, I see it all the time. The people that you see recently, they leave that little panel off. And this here is only here because it's in simulator mode. And I'm quite sure there's a way that you can disable that, get rid of it altogether, which I will most likely do, unless I just completely decide to use the gauges. But with me, on my Ranger boat, I have gauges on my console, so why would I want to have gauges on my depth finder? But who knows? You know how that goes. Could figure it out later and go, oh yeah, that's why. So again, you go to the menu here, hit the Pages button, it goes back to the main menu. Now, I see this all the time, but what you don't see is this on a 9, and you definitely don't see it being described on YouTube like I'm trying to do for you right now. On a 9-inch, you see the 16s and the 12s because they're demos being put out there for more professional people, should I say. Not that I'm not, but that's all right. As you can see, you've got your different palettes. You hit the chart palette and it goes up like this and has the charts, and you get that off the screen there, and there it is. Okay, you can get closer to it. Just hold that baby down, get closer to it, zoom out. Now these charts are global, but these CMAP charts are, in my case, for the United States, obviously. But there's all over 4,000 lakes on it. And here is the key. They're on there, and it's already preloaded on the HDS Live, which means that you don't have to pay extra for the maps. Wow, what a concept, huh? Just another reason to purchase the new unit. And if you go in here too, also you go back, let's see, hit the Pages, go back to the main menu here. And something else I might want to mention as well is with those maps, when you're on specific bodies of water, the CMAT Genesis will have it for you in 1 foot contours on a contour map. And I suppose, hold on for a second, let's get on here, and I'll be a little more specific, if I may, if you'll be patient with me. See how we zoom in here. And if you see those lines, all these little lines is what's referred to as a contour. Now, most of you will know that, but that's more for the new folks who, quite frankly, aren't even familiar with mapping at all because their older units may not have mapping whatsoever. So you see the lines, and as I bring the camera in closer, you notice that they're marked 24 foot, 14 feet, which of course indicates depth. Now, what you have here is a simulated pattern for when you decide to map with your unit, which this is very capable of doing. But when you map it live yourself while you're on the water, it changes that 1 foot or 2 foot or 5 foot contour line. When you map it yourself, it'll bring it down to where each line is only 6 inches apart, a half a foot. How cool is that? That's a very cool thing, right? Now, this here is, like I was saying, you can have it come up where it's actually monitoring your engine, you know, your steering, miles per hour, obviously, and a compass. You can change this format around. It tells you the depth, you know, mile per hour, how fast you're going, and, you know, there's a, as you can see, there's a -1, which is selected right now. There's a -2. Kind of cool. A little busy. But there it is. -3, if you so choose. And you can completely change the layout if you wish to. Vessel, navigation, angler, DSS, you know, that's you know, there you go. So that's basically the gig with that panel. Kind of cool if you want that kind of integration. Like I said, my boat has perfectly awesome gauges already. So, yeah, you know, you hear me knocking. Okay, we'll get a down scan screen. And I remind you, this is on simulator, but you get the general idea. Now, you can go in here and you can change your color palettes to whatever color you may want. And there's 10 of them. And that's just on the down scan, which is quite cool. Now, mind you, these are little weed beds, but you see those little dots in there, they look like rice. Those are actually fish. Kind of cool, huh? So you go back here, hit that button, and let's see, we'll go down to Sonar. Now, when you're on the Sonar overlay, as well, you can range 60 foot, high chirp frequency, the sensitivity ranges, and of course you're going to want to fool with that on any different body of water that you might be on. And you hit the More options button down there, and it'll bring you to your palette page. Right? Now those are all your palettes. Now on the 2D sonar, there's, you know, there's 14 of them instead of 10. Personally, I like palette 13 or palette 1. As you can see. Now, mind you, for those of you who don't know, I know there's a lot of experienced people that'll be looking at this video, I understand, and they're going to know exactly what they're looking at. But for your not so knowledgeable ones, you see the yellow line itself, that's the hard bottom. And you can see that in the fish columns as well. And that will give you an indicator of the size of fish or density of the cover coming from the bottom. Typically, in old type 2D sonar, you'll see that these things are connected to the bottom itself. Okay? Now you look at that one, look, there's separation. It's really not touching bottom, is it? That's what I'm getting at with the clarity of this new live sonar. What used to be, you would naturally look at that, used to be on old traditional 2D sonar, and you'd think, that's just a weed coming off the bottom. Well, not so much. Negative, Ghost Rider, the pattern is full. Now, myself, personally, I like palette 13. Palette 1 and 13 are normally the ones that I would run. So, go to the back, take that off. Now, and that sits there and runs. And we'll take this out of our way, because I see a lot of people leaving that on and not giving you a true sense of how big the screen is. It's quite large, actually. You know, it's quite large. You know, But there you have it. It gives you a good sense of what you're getting into. The clarity of these things are like, wow. Like, wow. You know, and you can adjust it. And of course, you're going to want to adjust it a little bit with the sensitivity and what have you on every different body of water you have. Because why? There's going to be less trash in one body of water than the other. One's going to be clearer than the other. And of course, you're going to have to adjust your sonar accordingly. Now, you notice something right here. This is palette 13. Palette 13 has a green indicator for really hard spots. And you'll sometimes see that even in fish columns. You'll find it where the center is green. Now, it's bouncing off their bladder. Some claim that it's, you know, you're actually seeing the bones of the fish and how hard they are. But I'll stick with the bladder. Thank you very much. That's what it's really reading. You know. But here, this is just flat out hard bottom. Big hump right here. And a very, very hard drop off right here. Very hard surface with a steep drop off. And you look here in the drop off and it actually goes down underneath. Down underneath. And the top of that underneath is about 50 foot in the water column on this simulator. Very, very clear. Very, very much more clear, much more accurate images. And with the 3-in-1 transducer, the thing is amazing. Okay, 3-in-1 transducer. I'm going to say it again, folks. This is new hardware. They didn't start from scratch on the unit itself, but aesthetically they've made so many changes, and the processors are so much more fast. The clarity of it is just amazing. And once I get it installed, there'll be more videos to come. And I'll show you after it's on the water when I actually have the 3-in-1 transducer installed, which is active imaging. And you're not going to believe it, because that is not something that used to be. It's all new hardware. The way they point the crystals is completely different. The crystals are brand new. And 3-in-1 transducer is just what it says. Side imaging, down imaging, and traditional 2D sonar. But it's much better. It's even better than the carbon units with the 3D box and the NEMA network, which this you no longer have to use, but the clarity is much better than those. Just FYI. So there you have it. It was a quick rundown. I hope it didn't ramble on too long. But there it is. There it is. Y'all be careful now. Keep chasing Finn.